Welcome to Office Hours. My name is Adrian. I am the CEO and founder of Groundhogg. I was going to try out something new today. I was going to try out Facebook Rooms just to see what a more interactive experience of Office Hours would look like. It turns out I don't have enough control over everybody's audio settings in order to make it an enjoyable experience. There's just a little bit too much background noise. And there's limited audio control. And there's also no recording, which is kind of a bummer. So we're going to resume regular format for the office hours today. Tried and true method of making sure that your questions get answered in a timely manner. So this office hours is, of course, being recorded and will inevitably be posted to YouTube as well as Groundhogg Academy. So any questions that you ask will be shared with our community. So make sure that you're asking questions that are, useful, or not necessarily that are useful, but you're asking questions that you don't mind being shared with a bunch of other people. So just keep that in mind. This is a learning environment. We support all questions that you might have. So if you're experiencing any kind of roadblock that's preventing you from moving forward in your business, I want to know about it. I want to hear about it. That way we can either create training or create products that will help you solve that particular issue. So there are no silly questions. Everyone on this call comes with different stages of experience, and they are at a different stage in their progress of becoming a digital marketing and business expert. So if you believe that your question is silly, I encourage you to ask it anyway, because I can guarantee you at least 50% of the audience is also wondering that exact same thing. So please make sure that you don't hesitate and that you're not shy, and you are using the chat function of this live stream in order to communicate with me as easily as possible. So there is a chat feature. Use that, pop in, say hello, maybe let us know where you're from, where you're calling from, and of course, your questions. Quick announcement, Groundhogg reached 2,000 active installations last weekend, which is pretty awesome. We have over 61 5-star reviews, and I think it might be 62 now. I'm not sure. I'd have to go check. But lots of 5-star reviews, and I just want to make sure, or just want to thank rather, the community, because obviously it would not be possible without all of you amazing people, and not only continuing to promote and to evangelize Groundhogg and to tell all of your colleagues about it and have your business adopt it, but also for going and leaving those 5-star reviews on our WordPress.org repository page. By the way, if you haven't done so, I would be eternally grateful if you would take 3 minutes at the end of this call to go do that. So I didn't prepare a topic because I was going to try Facebook Rooms, and I thought that it would go a little bit smoother than it had, and well, it is what it is. So we are open for Q&A period right now, and if you do not, if there are no questions, I do have an interesting topic that I can cover and talk a little about and show a little bit of the setup process about it that might make or that might help some of you more advanced digital marketers out there accomplish some really cool stuff. So I'm going to open up the floor. I'm going to give it 30 seconds and let's see if we will have some questions roll in into the chat there. And if not, we'll talk about some cool stuff. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions come into the chat here, so I will just go ahead and I'll talk about some cool stuff that I've been up to recently. So this is not going to be necessarily focused on Groundhogg or email marketing, but it is some sort of digital marketing tips and tricks and knowledge that you may find useful when you are trying to figure out what kind of page design that you want to focus on in order to create some sort of action happen. So recently we have been, and you may have noted this if you've recently visited the Groundhogg pricing page, we have been split testing two variations of a pricing page recently to see which one actually performs better in terms of the number of transactions and the amount of revenue. So this is the first one, or this is our first variation of the pricing page. You may be familiar with this if you purchased from this page within the last, well, almost year now since we've had this kind of version of the pricing page up. We recently revamped it on the account of some excellent advice. We hired a consultant to help us design some higher converting pages on our website, and we ended up creating a page that also looks like this. So this is version B of our pricing page, and currently we're running a split test to see which one performs better. Turns out version B does actually perform better. At least that's what the stats are currently telling us. But what is the easiest way to actually go ahead and compare the results of your e-commerce from your payment provider, whether it's WooCommerce or whether it's Stripe or anything like that, to which pricing page they actually visited? How do you actually correlate sales that happen way beyond the checkout process, which might be their third, fourth, fifth page into the site at that point, to an action that they took way beyond? And actually, it turns out there's a couple really easy tools that make this possible, or at least made it possible for me, that are totally free. Well, at least part of it's totally free. Some of it's not free. So in order to set up a split test, and I'll go through the process of doing that in a moment, or a little bit later on rather, the first thing that you're going to need is Monster Insights. So Monster Insights is a WordPress plugin that has been around for a very long time, and essentially it just makes it super easy to connect Google Analytics to your WordPress website. And also has a bunch of integrations for easy digital downloads at WooCommerce and some of the other payment providers, and has like AMP capability, and it's just pretty cool stuff overall, and it just makes Google Analytics for your WordPress website much more accessible than it would be kind of doing it through the manual installation process. So we have this plugin is required, and what it allows us to do is once we have it all set up with Google Analytics, and I'm not going to go through that process because that's a little bit more difficult, setting up Google Analytics, but it allows you to use a tool called Google Optimize. Now you may or may not realize this existed, but Google Optimize is kind of like a it's an extension of analytics that allows you to easily set up split tests and variations and redirection tests and all sorts of tests in order to confirm whether one user experience performs better than a different user experience. So if we go ahead and we sign into Optimize, I have a few split tests running at the moment, and I am going to show you the process of testing whether one specific page is better than another specific page for some kind of result that you're trying to create. In my case, the most important result of someone going to my website is a transaction where we make money. That's important. Yours might be if they click through to a specific page, or time on page, or you want to increase or decrease your bounce rate for that specific page. Lots of different conversions or goals that you can use as an attribution. But for our case, I think I'm going to go with the pretty standard revenue and transactions. So I have two pages. So I have pricing and I have pricing B. I'm going to use these two as an example. I mean, I already have it set up in another split test, so I'm just going to do this temporarily. So I'm going to do test variations of the pricing page. I'm going to input the URL of my base page. So the page that you would use or that you had before. So not the page that you've created all the additions to. So the page that's going to be your baseline. You kind of already know how it performs. So you have a baseline and you want to compare what the variation page, the new page with all of your edits and stuff. We're going to input that later. So for WordPress, I found that the easiest way to kind of split test two very different versions of a page is by using the redirect test. So you create 2 different pages with 2 different URLs. I just tack on B to the end of the URL. That is going to be my variation. Nobody can really see that up in the top URL bar, so it doesn't really stand out all that much, while still showing them that they're kind of on the correct page. So I'm going to select a redirect test. You can also do these A/B tests, which is the top one. This actually allows Google to edit your page directly and make smaller edits. So that would be more useful for something like the color of a button or a specific headline, where you can just do some really easy inline editing, because Google will actually do that editing for you. For us, we had various different sections of the page, and pretty much the whole thing was different, so we went with the redirect test because that was a little bit easier for us. So we're going to go ahead and create this new experience. And we are then going to be able to simply add a variant. By the way, Google Optimize is totally free, so everything in these pages is totally free for you to use. And then I am going to do just give it a name, and I'm going to put pricing page variation B. And then you will then input the URL to that different pricing page. So in this case, pricing B. And then you can click done, and that will add that variation. Google Optimize allows you to select the specific traffic numbers that you want to direct to those different pages. So if I want more people to be sent to the new page, then I can tell it that I want pricing page B to get 75% of all the traffic. Although this doesn't really give you an accurate picture of the number, or sorry, it doesn't really give you an accurate picture of which page is performing better, because one is getting much more traffic than the other. So leave it at 50% so you get an even split, and then over time you'll be able to see which one has been performing better. You'll be able to up the weight and the percentage of traffic sent to that specific page, and that'll make it a lot easier to further test and to decide which one is performing better. You can add an additional variant. So if you have 3 versions of a page, so A, B, and C, that you want to test, you can also add additional variations. So if I wanted to do variation C, and you might want to give these descriptive names. So maybe if you have a specific headline, you can do with headline, my headline, and then you'd add your new variation, pricing C, for example. So you'd add those variations, so as many pages as you have that you want to split test against. And then down here, you can add what's called an experiment objective. So how do you actually decide which page is performing better? So if you're using Monster Insights, you can enable something called e-commerce tracking in Google Analytics. There's lots of documentation for this. Don't have time to go through it on office hours, but you're able to enable it. And what it does is Monster Insights will send all of your WooCommerce or your EDD data from WordPress to Google Analytics, and it will also double track it there. And that will make, and it will make that information, so that e-commerce data, accessible to Google Optimize. And from here, you'll be able to select the objective of either revenue, transactions, session duration, bounces, page views, etc. So if you're an e-commerce site, really the big one is revenue. So revenue and transactions. So we're going to select transactions as our primary objective. More transactions over more revenue, but we can also add an additional objective kind of as a secondary measure. So optimize for number of transactions first, and then we want to optimize for revenue second. Or if revenue is more important, then you would say, I want to optimize for revenue first and then transactions secondary. And then after that, you're pretty much done. And that's as easy as it is to create a split test. And what that will do is, I'm not going to start this one because I have one going on already. But if I go ahead and I open a new window, and I switch the screen that I'm currently sharing, and I go to my pricing page, I got version A this time. So you can see up here in the top, I have this whole query string business. So that query string is something that Google Optimize added to ensure that I continue to view this page for the length of the duration of my session while I'm viewing the website. So if I go to another page and come back, I'm not accidentally going to end up on the B variation of this page, so that you can keep the user experience consistent. However, if I go ahead and I clear my cookies here, I'm going to see if I can get the B variation. Yeah, so if I clear my cookies and then re-go to the pricing page, there we go. I now get the B variation from going to the pricing page directly. So I went to pricing and then I was redirected to version B without the user actually even realizing it. And that way you don't have to change any links anywhere. You don't have to change anything in the menu. Google takes care of everything for you in terms of site consistency and the redirecting. And it's just really, really, really easy to set up. Once you get Monster Insights installed, you set up Google Analytics and you connect everything. Taking care of the split testing is really, really, really awesome. And the stats are pretty good too. So I am going to, let's make sure that's visible. And I'm going to switch back to Google Optimize. So there you go, back on Google Optimize. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to show you this split test that we set up, because we don't have any data for it yet, and I don't really want to leak my numbers on office hours. Sorry everyone for anybody who is hoping that I do that. But once you have it set up, you have a reporting area. Currently this one is waiting for data, but there's lots of graphs and it'll actually show you and correlate sessions, give you the dollars per session increase, give you the transactions per session increase. It's really, really, really quite amazing. So this is super helpful if you have a page which directly correlates to the user's buyer's journey. So that means the pricing page, or if you're using something like Lifter LMS, the course page. So you might have a course page that has the pricing button on it and the add to plan. Or if you're using WooCommerce to testing different variations, specific product pages, all of this would be super duper helpful. And in determining what is the best language, the best design, the best video, the best image that will ensure someone is more likely to make a purchase. This has really helped us a lot determine the kind of language and the kind of thing, the kind of phrasing that helps people understand the true benefits of our platform and our plugins and Groundhogg in general. And it's just been really easy to use. So hopefully you find kind of this all makes sense and find Optimize a little bit helpful. So I'll run through the basic requirements that you're going to need in order to make use of Google Optimize and split testing. Number one is you're going to need Monster Insights. Well, you don't necessarily need it, but it's going to make your setup a hell of a lot easier. They have specific setup for Google Optimize, and they just make connecting to Google Analytics significantly easier. And they have, quite frankly, an awesome dashboard to help you determine and find different aspects of your website. So it's all really good stuff, and it's always on sale. I don't think it's ever not on sale. Yeah, there you go. It's still on sale. It's always on sale. So you don't really have to worry about jumping in on the sale because it's evergreen. But yeah, so go grab that, and then you're going to need to sign up and connect Google Analytics, and then you're going to be able to go ahead and connect Google Optimize, which, of course, as I'll say again, is absolutely free. All right, I see a couple of questions. Alex says, love variation B of your pricing page and not surprised to hear it's performing better. Nice work. Yes, our new variation of the pricing page is working better. We worked with the same consultant, and if you're interested on who he is, you can message me later and I'll share his name. He also helped us do a version B of our homepage, which is new, which has videos and stuff on it. Let's go ahead and share that. So this is our new homepage design as well. We're testing this out. I only just launched the split test for this homepage today, so we'll see if it has any improvement, but lots of cool stuff going on this page. So we'll see how it works. John is asking, is there a way to make this sticky beyond individual sessions? No, I don't think so. I think I understand your question, and if I'm interpreting your question, it's if someone sees variation B of a page, but then decides to buy, let's say 30 days later, then it may not attribute correctly. I'm not really sure what the attribution window for Google Optimize is in order to identify a sale to a specific variation viewed. I'm not sure what the time window is on that. It might be 7 days, it might be 30 days. I'd have to do a little bit of research. But it might also be just as long as they have the cookie in the browser from which variation they viewed originally, that might be the attribution. So I don't know. I'd have to guess check on the lifetime of how long that cookie lasts. Maybe I can just look it up. So, I mean, I'm just looking at the raw cookie info. You can't see it on my screen, but to answer your question, John, it looks like it's not a super long attribution window. It looks like it's, well, depending on which cookie I look at, it's saying November expires November 19th. So a little bit more than a whole month is the attribution window. That's the amount of time that it's going to maintain the user experience or the continuity of that specific page. So it looks like if they purchase on the same device and they have that cookie, then that sale will be attributed to that particular test if the test is still live. Hopefully that makes sense. So it looks like the attribution window is about a month, depending on just looking at the cookie. Although I don't know if that's correct. I'd have to consult the Google documentation for that specifically. John is saying that if Monster Insights is not on sale for you for whatever reason, clear your cookies and then refresh the site and it'll be on sale again. That is absolutely true for any of Awesomotive's or Syed's products, really, is that you can always get them on sale. Also, for this particular one, if you go to sign up and I'm going to go ahead and remove the discount here, and I'm going to go and add a coupon. Chris from Lifter LMS showed me this, and I just type in something invalid. It goes ahead and it gives me the discount anyway. So there you go. So that should be fun. So anybody who wants to go get Monster Insights, go ahead and do that. It's great stuff. I wish I had an affiliate link. I don't. John says, great, longer than a session, longer than the test should run. Well, it depends on the amount of traffic. So I guess the other thing I should mention for anybody listening who's thinking, I'm going to go do all of the A/B split testing now, you do need a fair amount of traffic to make it worthwhile. Let's say you have 1,000 site visitors a month. That means you're only really getting a sample size of 500 people to each page. And if you're having like an e-commerce conversion rate of anywhere from 1% to 2%, that is not enough traffic in order to actually come up with a winner for your particular split test. So you do need a fair amount of traffic. Groundhogg has around about 5,000 site visits per month. We're working on getting that a little bit further up, but that is even on the low side of creating sustainable or of creating a proper, what's the word I'm looking for? Sample size. All right, for creating a proper sample size in order to actually get some sort of valuable outcome out of running a split test. So you do need a fair amount of traffic in order to make sure that it is worthwhile. If you only have 500 to 1,000 site visitors, it's really not worth it. And you'd be better off kind of just trying to creating the best page that you possibly can and getting a lot more feedback directly from your users. This Google optimized and split testing is worthwhile if you have significant site traffic. Anything more than, let's say, 5,000 site visitors. You probably also get away with 3,000 site visitors, but you have to have a really high conversion rate in terms of e-commerce, so converting in terms of sales or signups or whatever. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm kind of rambling now. Okay, I'm going to open the floor back up to questions. That's Google optimized. That's split testing. Some cool stuff for you to go out and try. Question and answer period. So if you have any questions either regarding setting up a split test with Google Optimize or something about Groundhogg specifically, or you have a question about email best practices, which email provider you should use, what kinds of email you should send, or anything of that nature, please go ahead and post that in the live chat in the comments. If you don't have any specific questions, then we are at the 34-minute mark, so maybe what we'll do is we'll go ahead and call it early. So I'm going to give a few minutes for questions, and then we'll call it. So Paul is asking, I think you could have less traffic if you're buying traffic directly to the sales page. Yeah, so if you're buying, let's say, Facebook traffic or Google AdWords traffic, definitely worthwhile to do a split test on that if you have different variations. Although here's the thing, right? It's always nice to have a baseline before you go ahead and you introduce a split test. So I had a baseline of our pricing page. I knew what the value of that page was ahead of setting up Google Optimize because I had it running through Google Optimize or Google Analytics for at least a month. So I kind of knew what my baseline was, and that made creating the split test a little bit easier. If you're starting from scratch and you're like, all right, I'm going to create two pages and they're going to be a split test of each other and it's going to work out great and I know which one exactly is going to work than the other, that's a little bit more difficult because when you're creating those variations, you don't actually know which one or how any of them would really perform. So my recommendation would be to focus all of your effort on a single page and then use that page for, let's say, 30 days. And then at the end of 30 days, you have a baseline of performance, and that'll make it easier to not only make edits and variations to that particular page, but it's also going to let Google Analytics and Google Optimize do a better job of sending traffic to whatever is working better, and it's going to give you better stats, and it's just going to give you a better overall picture of how a specific page is performing. Rebecca is asking, I don't want to have the new double opt-in and I got a lot of new signups, but they all say unconfirmed. How do I get rid of this? Hi, Rebecca. You can't get rid of it, but if they're unconfirmed, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. This is a requirement for California GDPR and CASL in Canada. It would be not smart of us to remove it out of the software. But if they don't have a confirmed email address, you don't necessarily need to worry. It's not actually going to impact your ability to send them emails unless you have the various different levels of compliance enabled in the settings. So if you have all of the various different GDPR, CASL, and confirmation settings enabled, then it becomes important. But if you're ignoring all of that stuff and you're not collecting any kind of consent for GDPR, CASL, or any of that, then if it says unconfirmed, it doesn't actually impact your ability to send to them. It just says unconfirmed. But there's no way to remove that. That's just a compliance restriction on the world's end. Not even our end. That's just kind of like global at this point. So hopefully that answers your question to some degree. You don't necessarily need to worry about it. They will say unconfirmed, but it doesn't really matter. Paul says, thanks, Adrian. Appreciate the answer. You're welcome. So for anybody who wants to know, if you're buying AdWords to a page, or you're buying PPC to a specific page, you may want to, or you may think about split testing specific pages to see which one converts better from paid traffic. That is a brilliant idea, but don't do it right away. The reason being, when you start an ad campaign, you need to set up a baseline. So basically, you need to set up, all right, what is my expectation based on the things that we know and the things that we tried? So you set up one page, and then let's say you run that page for 2 weeks to 4 weeks. That will set up a baseline of let's say a 10% conversion rate, certain amount of traffic, certain amount of bounce rate, et cetera, et cetera. That baseline will help Google optimize when you inevitably do create a split test. That information will help Google optimize, help you create a better variation, and will also help direct traffic better once you have the variation set up. So with that baseline, it's going to see immediately that page is performing way better than this page already, and we can see that here are the changes that you should make, etc. So it's always good to have a baseline before you go ahead and start doing a bunch of split tests. Plus, if you're using something like Hotjar or Clicky or any of the heat maps tools, you can use that to then go ahead and create variations based on how people are interacting with specific content. So that would be my recommendation for anybody who's thinking about going out into the world and just creating a bunch of split tests for the hell of it. Don't do that. Create a baseline, create a single variation or at most 2 variations, test those for a while, and then see how they perform. Unfortunately, split testing doesn't yield overnight results, which is kind of a bummer, especially when it goes to e-commerce and sessions. It would be nice if it was just overnight, that one wins, do that. No, I've been running our pricing page split test for more than 3 weeks now, and only just now is it starting to show clear winners after that amount of time. So it takes time in order for it really to mature and to give you the good stats. It doesn't happen in 2 to 3 days. All right, we're taking questions. It's open Q&A period. Any questions related to Google Optimize, split testing, Groundhogg, email marketing, best practices are all fair game at this point. There's no silly questions. Everyone in this community is extremely helpful, and we always support new learners as best we can. We are all here at different stages in our marketing automation experience, so please don't be afraid to ask a question that you may think is silly, because I guarantee you that someone else is also wondering the answer to that question. I'm not seeing any new questions come in. No worries. So what we're actually going to do then is we're just going to call it, and we are going to move on with office hours and start wrapping up. So if you found this particular session of office hours helpful, that's awesome. If you need additional resources, then what I'm going to ask you to do is go to academy.groundhogg.io. We have lots of resources available there, courses, recordings of office hours, some helpful tips and tricks, previous webinars, lots of video content there to help you learn and understand how Groundhogg works. If you're more of the sit back and kind of relax person while somebody else does the dirty work, we have a certified partner network that would love to be able to help you implement Groundhogg into your business. So you can find that on our certified partner directory on the website. You can also become an affiliate and earn 10% recurring referral commissions for anybody that signs up through your link. That is available to sign up if you know someone who might be able to benefit from Groundhogg and you want to be rewarded for recommending it. Go to affiliate area /registration to learn more about our affiliate program. I do see a question from John. So John, I am going to answer that before I wrap up here. John is asking, we are trying to add a calendar to the page, but it shows a scroll bar. Okay, so that just sounds like it's a little bit of a design tech issue. If you want to submit a support ticket to our support channel, we're more than happy to help you out with that and get rid of that scroll bar for you. If you're not following us, you absolutely should be. We are on all social media channels, Facebook, Groundhogg is not a social media channel. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all of those /GroundhoggWP. If you have yet to leave a review, reviews really do help. We are able to showcase your reviews, and we're able to use them as a use case for why people should use Groundhogg, and to show them still a lot of how great our community really is. They also allow us, of course, to get more customers, and that means more purchases. That means more developers. Which means more features that you want and love faster. We accept reviews on our WordPress repository page, and that is /plugins/Groundhogg. If you have more questions, there are lots of ways for you to get answers. You can continue to comment on this thread. You can post in the Facebook group. You can message our live chat, submit a support ticket, reach out to us on Twitter, or email us directly, email or info@groundhogg.io. I hope this was particularly helpful. I hope you learned something, and we will see everyone next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another session of Office Hours.